think I was 14, 15 when I received her. I'd always liked dolls, but this one just seemed a little more special to me. And to think about it and talk about it, I feel in my chest the anxiety and the emotions that I felt at that time. At first it was like an obsession. It was like I was like engulfed in it. My mom would not want me to dwell on it, but she even started hearing noises too. So that doll was real. And she became something that no one ever would ever think she could ever become. I do feel to this day there was some type of entity or a spirit that had somehow formed itself around me and the doll. Maybe being my age, preferably young, naive. At that age, maybe it was finding a place to live. I do believe that whatever was possessing this doll Gretel had a connection with me. Very powerful one, and I do believe it wasn't a good one. It was a very affecting thing in my life. Like, I will never, ever forget it. So to this day, it affected me to the point where I can always remember it, and it's trauma. It was trauma in my life, for sure.
Dolls. For most girls, they're an important part of growing up. But dolls are different from girls' other toys. Dolls are dressed up and talked to and cuddled and loved. They're given a rich, imaginary life. So what would happen if that imaginary life became real? Today on Ghostly Encounters, we meet Colleen Costa. She tells us about a doll that was brought to life by a spirit. As a young girl, Colleen loves dolls, and when she receives a marionette doll for Christmas, it's a dream come true. But when strange things start to happen in her home, that dream turns into a nightmare.
One Christmas, I received a doll, and her name was Gretel, and she was a marionette puppet. I had been wanting one for a long time. I was happy, sort of shocked, because I did not think that you could even buy one around that area. She came in a box, her own box and everything, which I kept her in. I remember smelling like a musty smell. I still remember that to this day. Almost like something that had been taken off of an old bookshelf or an old store. She had these big eyes. I remember big eyes, sort of oval shaped. She had like very fine little lips that sort of smile a bit. Other than that, there was nothing that moved on her other than her arms and her legs, because she was a marionette puppet. I kept her actually inside my top dresser drawer, so I would never leave her out where anyone could wreck her or whatever. And then we had a fire. The fire happened about a month after I received her. No one knew why. It was a surprise to everybody. The flames were shooting out of the windows. So at that time, the fire department came. They had saved maybe half the house. After the fire, my dresser was burnt to almost near the top, but inside the top drawer was the doll, and the doll had no damage at all. I remember feeling really like, oh my God, like you were almost killed, almost like she was real. Like, I remember like picking her up and going, oh my God, like I could have lost you. And I remember feeling like just shocked, like I can't believe my dresser, part of it's still here in the doll. So I felt happy. Actually sort of forgot about all my other things that burnt, and immediately just was happy because I got my doll. It's kind of funny that the upper part of my dresser did not burn. I kind of say to myself, well, maybe for some reason there was something paranormal there protecting it. We've moved just down the yard, which was nice. So we moved in there, and then she, of course, moved in with me in my bedroom. I was trying to learn the movements, and I got her walking and tried to move her arms. I'd always liked dolls, but this one just seemed a little more special to me. I felt an instant, like a love for it, like a mother to a child. Immediately wanted to protect it. I wanted to show her off, put her up high so that she could almost see things. And I put her up on the tip of the canopy, so she'd be facing me. If I were lay down in my bed at night, I could see her. And that's where I kept her. I would talk to her, feeling she'd talk back. Of course, she didn't talk back to me, but I'd feel like we'd sort of had a communication going. And I remember looking at her and like smiling at her and going, it's okay, you know, you can stay there. And like, was this doll very special to me? Yes, it was. And then as time went on, I think it grew and it grew and it grew. So whatever was there, whatever was connected to this doll, it was powerful. When I first received her at Christmas, I do believe there was a connection. Very calm, very kind of not really strong one, but it had started, I think. She was almost like a friend to me, and I put her up on the tip of the canopy, so she'd be facing me. If I were lay down in my bed at night, I could see her, and that's where I kept her. I would talk to her, feeling she'd talk back. Of course, she didn't talk back to me, but I'd feel like we'd sort of had a communication going. So yeah, there was a connection. And then as time went on, I think it grew and it grew and it grew. So whatever was there, whatever was connected to this doll, it was powerful. Probably about a week or two after we'd first moved in, I first noticed whispering, like a child whispering a lot. And then led up to louder, my name being called, but only my name, never anyone else's.
Colleen.
Like that.
Colleen.
I remember thinking to myself, that's from my room. And then I'd listen and I'd hear it again. And I'm going, oh, I'm not imagining it. There it is, you know? And then I would hear these noises. You could hear like loud bangings, like sounding like somebody jumping. It always seemed to be trying to get my attention. I reacted a little scared at first, but then it just almost became like a game to me. I was drawn into it. I remember just feeling a different feeling in the room. I remember I started changing a little bit too, the way I was thinking, feeling. I started like wanting to be in my room more. I always seemed to be around the doll more. At first it was like an obsession. It was like I was like engulfed in it. It almost felt like there was something there with me, growing, getting stronger and stronger. It was almost like this magnetic pull to me to go back to my room, even after school. I was not one to come home and want to come home. I'd stay and do all my activities. I was very active in my school. Stop that. I want to come right home and go right to my room, and many times even skipping meals She was never out of my mind, like she was actually a friend of mine now. It wasn't a doll anymore to me. And my mom would not want me to dwell on it. And she said, enough is enough, Colleen. You know, you're too obsessed with this doll. This doll, you think it's talking to you and you think it's moving. I said, well, it is. It is. I've seen it. It is. Oh, so what? You know, she's mine. So there was a time where she took it out of my room, taken it down the hall, and she put it in the closet.
Think you can get rid of me? Can't get rid of me that easily.
She was never out of my mind, like she was actually a friend of mine now. It wasn't a doll anymore to me. And my mom would not want me to dwell on it. And she's seeing how I was reacting to it. So what she did was she'd take my doll out of my room and she'd put it in the closet in the hall.
Think you can get rid of me? What happened? What happened?
See, my mom was going to destroy it at that point. She was like taking steps to get rid of it, right? But I remember feeling like I had to get it back, like to get it out of there. Like she didn't want me even near it.
Our experts tell us studies have revealed many people have an innate fear of dolls. Some will turn a doll around so that it faces the wall or move it out of the room entirely. Others report nightmares in which a doll comes alive and becomes aggressive. The idea of possessed dolls is so creepy that many horror movies have featured them. In Poltergeist, a clown doll comes to life as an omen of the paranormal activity to come. The popular Chucky films feature a doll possessed by an evil and murderous spirit. Colleen's connection to the doll has become pathological. She's obsessed by it, and Gretel has taken over her life. Her mother, realizing her daughter is in trouble, decides to take action. But then Gretel reveals even more startling and terrifying powers.
She noticed a lot of things happening. She even started hearing noises too. There were a couple times where we had passed by the closet and we heard like little girls' voices. And then as we got closer, you hear that? You know, do you hear that? And then all of a sudden we'd hear shh, 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 quiet, quiet, shh, shh.
Quiet.
Opened up the closet door. And it was the doll. It was the doll. Of course it was the doll that was talking. So I grabbed her, took her to my room. Mom goes, well, she goes, did you hear that? She goes, there's something going on here. There's something very wrong. But yet, the only thing I wanted to do was keep that doll safe. I remember feeling like scared for her, that something was going to happen to the doll. And then things turned around pretty quick. Right beside my bed, I had a rocking horse, and all of a sudden it just shot. Like it just flew. Like someone had taken it and not threw it in the air, but slid it along the floor. And I mean, it went fast. And it wasn't light. I remember feeling the way you'd feel if someone went boo, or scared you all of a sudden, or startled you. It was like a jolt went through me. I think at that point, the spirit or entity, whatever it wasn't gonna let go of me completely. But whatever it was, it grew and it got really strong. It went from happy to playful to violent. An arm would move a little bit, or a leg would move a little bit, and then her head. And it walked just as clear as day as a person would be, right in front of my eyes, actually. I saw this happen. Like she was moving, like really moving around, and then her head would turn, and then her arms would flip and flap. I felt more shocked by it, like thinking, am I really seeing this? Like, how could this happen? Like, this is too much for me. You know what I mean? Like, I just could not believe it. I was overwhelmed.
Come here.
It was possessed. It was evil. It wasn't just a spirit. It had a possession. I was horrified, and it just kept escalating and escalating, huger and huger and huger.
Colleen.
And she flopped down, and there was nothing there. The room was quiet. My mother had had enough. She did believe at that point there was a possession going on in my bedroom with the doll. She goes, that's it. She goes, we're going to have a reverend come in, or a priest, and we're going to get this room clean. There's evilness here. This doll's going. She goes, we're burning it. No, 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 you can't. She goes, until the day we burn it, this will never change. She goes, there's something really wrong here going on. So she grabbed my doll. She had dug a big hole, and she had put the doll down inside the hole and burnt her. And I just remember seeing smoke and all that, and she'd look up at me as I was looking down at her. And she was like almost angry looking, like, you know, I'm glad this is being done. Where I was feeling more like mourning, like I just buried someone, or just someone had died in my family, feeling like a loss. After it was burned, it was almost like a release feeling, like all those the feelings that I had, the obsession with it, not wanting to let go of it, all that kind of eased off, simply because I think it did burn. Part of me always wants to go back and find that, but I think it was for the better, and I hadn't gone near it. This was like 30 years ago, and I still remember it till like yesterday. And to think about it and talk about it, I feel in my chest the anxiety, the emotions that I felt at that time, but definitely a peace came over after it was done. So that doll was real. And she became something that no one ever would ever think she could ever become. And it's out there, and it can happen, so it happened to me.
Our expert, Dina Bain-Taylor, thinks the doll was possessed and that Colleen in some way might have been responsible. She speculates that a nearby spirit may have found Colleen's deep emotional attachment to Gretel comforting and inviting, and so it took possession of the doll. Colleen's age might also have something to do with it. Caught between childhood and adulthood, Colleen was on the cusp of change and therefore spiritually vulnerable. Colleen's mother burns Gretel to destroy it. Fire is a destructive force, but in nature, it can also be cleansing. Only when a forest's old growth is burned can new growth take hold. Historically, religious groups have used fire for purification in exorcisms and witch burnings. People were not burnt as punishment, but to purify them and save their souls. Deliberately burning Gretel allowed Colleen's mother to drive out the evil that possessed it and return her daughter's life to normal. Colleen is living proof of the saying, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. With Gretel destroyed and the doll's evil spirit driven out, Colleen was able to resume control over her life.
I don't feel that I wish I'd never gone through it. I think it was something else, something that doesn't happen every day, and I do believe that it can happen to people. There's a very strong spiritual realm out there that's more powerful than ever, and if you know, it's there. So yeah, I feel like a stronger person. I have a lot of things I could share with people to help them even. With me, myself, though, gone through it, it was like something that I'll never forget. It was almost like a movie, personal experiences that I'll never forget. So I'm glad I went through it. I have no regrets.